Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This text 38. Yanasa Vishwara Vigrahasya Yasannivesa Kathito Mayate Sandharyatesmin Vapusistavishte Mano Subudhyana Yatosti Kinchit Yanasa Vishwara Vigrahasya Yasannivesa Kathito Mayate Sandharyatesmin Vapusistavishte Mana Sabudhyana Yatosti Kinchit Yana Savishwara Vigrahasya Yasannivesa Kathito Mayate Sandharyatesmin Vapusi Svavishte Mana Sabudhyana Yatosti Kinchit. Please recite.
Yanasa Ishvara Vigrahasya Yasanivesha Katito Mayate Sandharyatesmin Vapushisthavishte Manasvabhudyana Yatosti Kinchit.
Yanasavishvara vigrahasya yah sanniveshah katito mayate sandharyatesmin vapushisthaviste manasvabudhyana yatasti kinchit.
Anyone else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yanasa Ishvara Vigrahasya Ya Sannivesa Katito Mayate Sandharyate Asmin Vapusisthavishte Mana Swabuddhyana Yato Asti Kinchitu. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Guru. Yanusho Ishvara Vigrahasya Jashan Nivesha Katita Mayate Sandhyarate Hasmina Bapushis Tavishte Mana Shabuddhana Jatasti Kinchit.
Thank you. Anyone else want to recite? Okay, so we will do the synonyms. Yan, all these. Also, that. Ishvara, Supreme Lord. Vigrahasya, of the form. Yaha, whatsoever. Sannivesaha, as they are located. Kathita, explained. Maya, by me. Te, unto you. Sandharyate, one may concentrate. Asmin, in this. Vapusi, form of Virata. Staviste, in the gross. Manaha, mind. Swabuddhya, by one's intelligence. Na, not. Yataha, beyond him. Asti, there is. Kinchit, anything else. Translation. I've thus explained to you the gross material gigantic conception of the personality of Godhead. One who seriously desires liberation concentrates his mind on this form of the Lord, because there is nothing more than this in the material world. Interesting verse. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.10, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has verily explained that the material nature is only an order-carrying agent of His. She is one of the different potencies of the Lord, and she acts under His direction only. As the Supreme Transcendental Lord, he simply cast a glance over the material principle, and thus the agitation of the matter begins. And the resultant actions are manifested one after another by 6 kinds of gradual differentiations. All material creation is moving in that way, and thus it appears and disappears in due course. Less intelligent persons with a poor fund of knowledge cannot accommodate the thought of this inconceivable potency of the Lord Sri Krishna, by which he appears just like a human being, VG 9.11. His appearance in the material world as one of us is also his causeless mercy upon the fallen souls. He is transcendental to all material conceptions, but by his unbound mercy upon his pure devotees, he comes down and manifests himself as the personality of Godhead. Materialistic philosophers and scientists are too much engrossed with atomic energy and the gigantic situation of the universal form. And they offer respect more seriously to the external phenomenal feature of the material manifestations than to the nominal principle of spiritual existence. The transcendental form of the Lord is beyond the jurisdiction of such materialistic activities, and it is very difficult to conceive that the Lord can be simultaneously localized and all-pervasive. Because the materialistic philosophers and scientists think of everything in terms of their own experience. Because they are unable to accept the personal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Lord is kind enough to demonstrate the Virata feature of his transcendental form. And herein, Srila Sukadeva Goswami has vividly described this form of the Lord. He concludes that there is nothing beyond this gigantic feature of the Lord. Gigantic feature of the Lord. None of the materialistic thoughtful man can go beyond this conception of the gigantic form. The minds of the materialistic man are flickering and constantly changing from one aspect to another. Therefore, one is advised to think of the Lord by thinking of any part of his gigantic body, and by one's intelligence, one can think of him in any manifestation of the material world. The forest, the hill, the ocean, the man, the animal, the demigod, the bird, the beast, or anything else. Each and every item of the material manifestation entails a part of the body and the gigantic form. And thus, the flickering mind can be fixed in the Lord only and nothing else. This process of concentrating on the different bodily parts of the Lord will gradually diminish the demoniac challenge of the godlessness and bring about gradual development of devotional service to the Lord. Everyone, everything being a part and parcel of the complete whole, the neophyte student will gradually realize the hymns of Upanishad, which state that the Supreme Lord is everywhere, and thus he will learn the art of not committing any offense to the body of the Lord. This sense of God-mindedness will diminish one's pride in challenging the existence of God. Thus, one can learn to show respect to everything, for all things are parts and parcels of the Supreme Body. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurin Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhisesa Sunyavadi Paschata Desatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining. I'd like to seek blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas, senior Vaishnavas, for allowing me to share on this verse. This is Sukadeva Goswami says, the first step to God realization. And I would admit that it's not very simple subjects. It's not very simple subjects, but I will try my best, because Sukadeva Goswami gave whole elaborate description of Virata Rupa, the universal form, and then he gives this verse. And coming back, to the original conversation, where sorry, yeah, where Parikshit Maharaj has inquired from Sukadeva Goswami in the beginning. If you all remember that, what is the duty of a person in general, and then especially those who are dying. So it is a general question was asked: what is the duty of a human being? So before speaking whole Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami explains that he culminates everything. Such a beautiful response is whole world is bewildered. Not only whole world is bewildered, whole universe is bewildered to know what is their prime duty. Now, because I have come to this earth, on this world, what I'm supposed to do. Bewildering in the sense, those are really inquiring about it, they're bewildered. As Parikshit Maharaj is really genuinely asking this question. But there are people who don't want to ask this question. They're happy in whatever the material condition they are and improving that. But in general, those who are interested to know, they're also confused. What we are supposed to do. So this question, this answer, answer to this question is given by Sukadeva Goswami. He says, there's so many things we can do in this material world, material universe, and every entity is engaged in different way. But ultimately, he says that Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishwarari Srattabhya Kirtitabhyasya Smartabhya Chetata Bhayam. So he said that one who desires to be free from the all miseries must hear about, glorify, and also remember the personality of Godhead, who is the super soul, the controller and savior from all miseries. One must hear about him. Then followed by, he also says that similar way, answers he has that one should hear, glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then he begins this, first step to God realization. Well, that may not be possible for everyone, because the Supreme Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is said by all the authorities, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but not necessarily will be accepted. Not necessarily will be accepted by everybody very easily. Right? We all know. At least I can say that while practicing bhakti, at the beginning I was more attracted towards the opulence aspect of the absolute truth. And at the same time, it took a long time for me also to understand, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in renounced order. It took a long time for me to really understand, but it is a fact. I was attracted. The opulence aspect of it, and in fact, actually, in India, they used to show Mahabharata serial in childhood. When I was small, the Mahabharata serial used to come, and we liked it. I liked it, Krishna's activities, but most of the people are literally waiting for a particular portion of Lord Krishna's activity. Anyone can guess? What was that? When Mahabharata will show that?
Ras Leela.
Ras Leela. I don't know if Ras Leela was there or not. Sorry, Baba. I don't think so. But in general, anyone else, those who saw the serial? So actually, I can tell the universal form. When universal form was shown, like everyone was like so concentrated and attentive to see this form. And I was also in there. My whole house was full to see this. It was 1980s, full to see this, and everywhere no one wanted to be distracted. We like it, though Krishna was there from beginning of the Mahabharata. So Krishna was there from the beginning of Mahabharata, but he particularly this form, his universal form, was very attractive for neophytes. Now, I will really pay attention today to Prabhupada's purport. Prabhupada really summarized what it is. Let me go to the translation again. I have thus explained to you the gross material gigantic conception of the personality of Godhead. One who seriously desires the liberation concentrates his mind on this form of the Lord, because there is nothing more than this in the material world. Now, in first section of the purport, Prabhupada says that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and this material nature works under his direction, and it changes. It has its own way of working. It changes, as the material nature changes. It says 6 kind of gradual differentiations. All material creation is moving in that way, and thus it appears and disappears in due course. Now, Prabhupada further says that less intelligent persons with a poor fund of knowledge cannot accommodate the thought of this inconceivable potency of the Lord Krishna, by which he appears just like a human being. This is the whole goal of it, and substance of it is, even though Krishna, he appears as human form, and he resides in the Goloka, and is in the same form, similar form, same form. Still, ordinary people have very difficult to accept. How we can accept you? Arjuna, when Krishna says, I have given this science of Bhagavad Gita to who? The sun god. Arjuna says, hey, you and me are cousins, we are kind of same time. How did you give this knowledge? How this could happen? I was thinking we are cousins. I love you very much, but I thought you're my cousin. So in that way, it is bewildering. Why his potency is that much? He covers himself, cannot be seen, known by anybody just like that. His appearance in the material world is only to show a mercy upon his devotees. He's transcendental to material conception, but is unbounded but by his unbounded mercy upon his pure devotees, he comes down and manifests himself at the personality of Godhead. So this cannot be accepted in general by everybody. And we should not be surprised then when people don't accept Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the natural. Because the Lord's illusory potency himself prevents them to know that, prevents them. It's like a sun covers himself with this cloud, and the cloud is produced by sun himself. So he comes for the devotees to shower his mercy upon his pure devotees. However, materialistic philosophers and scientists are too much engrossed with atomic energy and the gigantic situation of the universal form. They offer respect to more seriously to the external phenomenal feature of the material manifestations than the nominal principle of spiritual existence. Now, particularly it is addressed here is that materialistic philosophers and scientists. And we see now this world, there's a competition in trying to load over other planets. Recently, India has attempted and succeeded actually to land one of their machineries in the moon. And there's people are celebrating literally a great or big achievement because they made it. Previously, also few other countries has attempted this to try, but they did not achieve anything. They did not achieve anything. My question was, what is the ultimate purpose of landing over there? To show many answers that to show superiority, that I'm better, we are better, we could land our instrument there. So there's a competition in this material world to show the superiority. Materialistic philosophers and scientists are too much engrossed with atomic energy and the gigantic situation of the universal form. Why they are doing? They're definitely attracted towards it. They're definitely attracted. Whenever people, did not appreciate the Lord's transcendental form, he revealed his universal form. He revealed his universal form, and especially in the place where Duryodhana wanted to tie in Lord Krishna, and he revealed his universal form. So now Prabhupada writes, these scientists, they may not be interested, they may be interested only the physical aspect of this material creation. No spiritual aspect behind it. It says the phenomenal feature of the material manifestations, then the nominal principle of spiritual existence. They are not interested. It's hard for them to accept there's a spiritual spirit soul or supreme super soul behind all this thing. So the transcendental form of the Lord is beyond the jurisdiction of such materialistic activities. And it is very difficult to conceive that the Lord can be simultaneously localized and all-pervasive. Because the materialistic philosophers, scientists think of everything in terms of their own experience. It's very, very hard to convince them. So then what is the solution? You can tell them, go and read this book, chant Hare Krishna, come to Kirtan, and you can tell, but not very much they'll have attraction towards it. So in order to attract, show the mercy, Sukadeva Goswami has given this. Because they're unable to accept the personal feature of the Supreme, the Lord is kind enough to demonstrate the Virata feature of his transcendental form. So Virata feature is not for the devotees, and Virata feature is those who are grossly engrossed into material prosperity, and they respect the opulence aspect of this world. So for them, Sukadeva Goswami has described this form, by giving the location of different planets and everything in this universe. Still, at the same time, he compared with the transcendental form of the Lord. Here in Srila Sukadeva Goswami has vividly described the form of the Lord. He concludes that there is nothing beyond this gigantic feature of the Lord. None of the materialistic, thoughtful men can go beyond this conception of the gigantic form. So what I understand from this is that, living entities are always inquisitive to search after. Even after we traverse throughout the universe, ultimate finding will be the Virata Rupa, which Lord Krishna manifested to Arjuna. Therefore, one is advised to think of the Lord by thinking of any part of the gigantic body, and by one's intelligence, only one can think of him in any manifestation. So you can chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, remember Lord Krishna, or we can chant. Those who do not want to chant, at least they will say, when they will look at the mountain and say, wow, such a huge mountain. This how material creation is such a powerful, vast. And this universal form will remind them to connect these mountains to the personal form of the Lord. When we see the rivers, we connect rivers are, I think, veins. veins of this Virata Rupa. Man, animal, demigods, birds and beasts and trees. When we see the trees, reminds us, wow, this hair of the Virata Rupa. While thinking all of them, we can still connect with the Virata Rupa. It's not directly remembering the Supreme Lord, but by gradually, as Prabhupada was once, walking, he was glorifying the beauty of nature. So devotees are confused, how Prabhupada is glorifying. So Prabhupada said, by seeing this nature, it reminds of your Krishna, the creator behind it. We can think of Krishna in everything in connection with everything in this material world. As you see people, you see the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So this process of concentrating on the different bodily parts of the Lord will gradually diminish the demonic challenge of the godlessness. So basically, what it is said, there's a purification will happen. One will come to the atheistic view that God does not exist, or impersonal view. At least the personal aspect of the Lord will be conceived, even though in the form of a universal form. Everything being a part and parcel of the complete whole, the neophyte student will gradually realize the hymns of Upanishad, Isopanishad, which states that the Supreme Lord is everywhere, and thus he will learn the art and not committing any offense to the body of the Lord. So we will see the other practitioners also, they also have respect, but different level of realization. They may not accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but still, they will respect everybody. And here it says that because they see, that aspect, that everything is part of the Supreme Lord, and everything part of this Virata form, then you start respecting it. This sense of God-mindedness will diminish one's pride in challenging the existence of God. Thus, one can learn to show respect to everything, for all things are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So, Sukadeva Goswami's this instruction to Parikshit Maharaj is primarily for those who are very difficult to conceive the personal aspect of the Lord. Lord is coming in the form of human form, accepting Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So for them also, Srimad Bhagavatam is a solution. Okay, here, look into this. Think about how this universe, how the stars and planets are located, where they are located, what is there in the lower planetary systems, what is there in the upper planetary systems, So you can see just as the planets, or you can see the Virata Rupa and see, okay, the chest of the Lord, the sun and moon, they are existing, the luminaries are existing. The Lord, soul of the Lord, it is, Pata Loka, all these lokas are existing. So similarly, we can compare, develop a personal aspect of the Lord. Understanding the Lord is also a person. Of course, it'll be easier for them to go to the next step, to take to devotional service. So that's why this is a blessings. Sukadeva Goswami didn't answer directly to give for the devotees. Okay, just chant and hear Krishna. But those who cannot do, they can also remember this. Try to meditate on this way, they will have purification. It was a little complicated for me, but I would like to open for, and sorry, I'm still recovering, open for questions, comments, and corrections. And before that, I want to share one verse from Brahma Samhita also. Pantastu koti satavasara sampragamya vayo ratopi manasa muni pungavanam sopi astiyat prapada simni avichintya tattve govindam adi purisam tamam bhajami. The primeval Lord, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord. Only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis, who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayam, by drilling the respiration, or by the Gyanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years. So much, it's not very easy, it's for years and years of practice. It's not very easy. But as you mentioned, if devotional service, one can very easily understand Tattvata Evam, the truth of the Lord Krishna, that he is the original cause of everything. So we are very fortunate. So I'll stop it here. Please share, and I can share that. Correct me and share your realizations also. Acharya Vishnu Prabhu. If you can share in a more simplified way, that'll be great.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kirtan Prabhu. I was just, so there's the universal form, and there's Lord Krishna's personal form and name and qualities, etc. So just to clarify, were you saying that the Virat Rupa is for the people who are not devotees? Or was that what your statement was?
Yeah, that's right. Well, not for the devotees, means devotees understand the Virat Rupa. It's not difficult for them, but they won't be interested much, very much. That's not they're interested in Lord Krishna. Just like gopis were interested, not even Narayan form. They prayed to Lord Narayan, please give us Krishna. So, of course, Narayan is also, you attain Narayan also by devotional service, bhakti, but in different rasas. Because it's a temporary form, and we know that Lord has manifested this form just to show mercy to materialistic people. He says, materialistic philosophers and scientists are too much engrossed with the atomic. They offer respect more seriously to the external phenomenal feature of the material manifestation. You have any other thought any other understanding on this?
Well, then, yeah, the gopis were certainly much more advanced in spiritual consciousness than we are. So, I agree that there's more emphasis put by Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas to focus primarily on chanting the holy names, hearing, engaging in a practical devotional service. But at the same time, it's not exclusive. One can also appreciate the universal form of the Lord too. And just because there's more emphasis on the personal aspect doesn't mean that we cannot appreciate the other aspect. That's just a point. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what you're saying also, but it's just, so in Bhagavad Gita also, Lord Krishna goes into great detail about the material world and Rasoham Apsukanteya Prabhashmi Shashi Shuryayo Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. Many verses are there in the seventh chapter, the 10th chapter, about seeing Lord Krishna in the material world. So devotees also take advantage of that because we want to remember Krishna at all times. But I agree with you that their prime focus is in Lord Krishna's personal name, form, qualities, pastimes, etc. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for reminding. That's right. Because only when we know the greatness of the Lord, we appreciate the Lord. It's a natural tendency of the living entity. But in advanced state, we will be attracted to the the transcendental form of the Lord. Not his, of course, his opulence is always there. We know that, but we know that how our desire will be how we are not materialistic anymore. Our desire is how to serve, engage those manifestations in the service of the Lord. But yes, as you said, this understanding helps us in taking shelter of Krishna. So it is required for devotees also, because that helps us to take shelter of Krishna more. I agree with you. Thank you. But once one submits himself, once he submits himself, we understand that the greatness of the Lord. He is not very much surprised, how wonderful the Lord's creation is. Rather, he appreciates the Creator more, not the creation. At the beginning, we appreciate the creation, but eventually we appreciate the Creator. That's the point I was trying to make. But as you said, we may not be up to that level. So thank you for reminding. Hare Krishna. Any other comments, corrections? Acharya Prabhu, you want to say something? Acharya Prabhu, others?
I have nothing to add, Prabhu. I think I very much like Vishnu Gada Prabhu's explanation. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
I have a question then. I have a question. How certain devotees, example, Kulasekara, they are very desperate for the Lord, to attain the Lord, even though they know that this material world is, belongs to Krishna, and it also has Virata Rupa is there. What we'll call that? The desperateness. Isn't it Kulasekara was very desperate? Oh Lord, now my body is functioning well. I'm not in old age, still can think of your lotus feet very, very much. Please take me. What we call that desperateness. How we take that? Sorry, I'm just asking for my own clarification. It is not a question. Anyone wants to share something on this? Maybe it's the develop, as if I understand correctly, they develop distaste in the material world and attracted more towards the transcendental world, and that's what is okay or not for the devotees. You want to say something, Vishnu? The book is still there. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, that in Nectar Devotion, Rupa Goswami says that intense eagerness to get the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, that's the price or entry into the spiritual world. It's called lolium or lalasamayi, lolium, great eagerness. So that's a quality of a devotee who's an actual devotee who's advancing. Why should I, and why involve in this material world so much? So that's present in the great souls like Kulushekar Maharaj, as you quoted in the verse from Mukundamala Stotram. Lord Chaitanya also said in the Shikshastaka, he exhibited,
Nadhanam najanam nasundarim. Oh, yeah.
Nayanam Galoda Shadadaya, Vadanam Gadgarudaya Gira. Pulakani chitam papukada tavanama. Yeah, I'm feeling separation. My chanting, I'm feeling very bereft of you. Yugai tam nimishena.
Thank you so much. So we will stop it here. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Granthara Srimad